Movement is one of the few things that really set Deadlock apart from any other MOBA, and if I'm going to be honest, probably even most shooters out there. I personally love to use the movement in any game that I play, and Deadlock is no exception. Despite being in an early playtest, there's still a lot of things to learn to get a grasp of the game's own movement, because there's a lot of things to know about, let alone master it. So let's go over movement in Deadlock so you too can start moving around the map with ease. So obviously, getting the very basic movement out of the way, you move by default by using your WASD keys and you jump on space. To climb on top of any ledge in front of you, just look towards the ledge you want to climb on and hit the jump key, so space. Keep in mind that if you're too far away from the ledge, then you will jump instead. With some basic testing, I'm pretty sure that all the heroes have the same climb height, no matter their actual size. You can also crouch by holding control. Crouching makes your hitbox smaller and makes you more difficult to hit. The amount of which crouching affects your model and your hitbox depends entirely on the hero that you're playing. In some cases it makes a huge difference, and in some cases the difference is negligible. With that in mind, if you play a hero with a favorable crouch hitbox, keep in mind that if you spam the crouch key too much, then a penalty starts kicking in that significantly slows down your movement speed the more often you crouch. So despite how tempting it might be, try to avoid crouch spamming in every single fight. In addition to jumping, you can also double jump in Deadlock. In the game, these are formerly known as air jumps. These obviously give you another jump midair, and it lets you reach higher. You can get more height out of your double jump if you wait until the apex of the jump before hitting the jump key again, because if you tap jump twice in a row, you're gonna get significantly less height. While every other hero has one double jump by default, there are ways to either reset your double jump penalty midair or get additional air jumps by purchasing certain items. Some heroes have abilities that reset your air jumps and your air dashes, which we're going to cover in a second. For example, Lash's second ability gives you an additional air jump and air dash after use. But you're probably wondering, what's this about dashes and air dashes? Every hero in the game can dash in the direction that they're currently moving by pressing their shift button by default. Starting a dash is instant, which means you can hit a backwards dash when running forward just by adding a backwards movement input and then hitting shift immediately. Dashing over a ledge actually carries a little bit of momentum and lets you move a little bit longer. And in addition to providing instant movement in the direction of your choice, for some intents and purposes, dashing counts as a different type of movement than your ordinary movement, which means that some slowing abilities, like Kelvin's Ice Beam, that slows your general movement speed, won't actually affect your dashes. Dash jumps are a movement technique that lets you not only dash, but also hop in any direction. They let you significantly extend the length of your dash and cross a longer distance over a shorter period of time than if you would have gone for, say, 2 individual dashes, thanks to its higher velocity. In most cases, dash jumping will be ideal, but it comes at the cost of 2 bars of stamina rather than 1. It's also a bit more difficult to pull off, but with a little bit of practice, it should become second nature in no time. To pull off a dash jump, all you need to do is dash and then jump at the right time. I normally imagine that I want to hit the jump key when I am midair, right before I want to land, which lets me hit the timing pretty consistently. For additional guidance, your stamina bar, that's this right here, will turn blue as you are dashing to show you exactly when you can pull off a jump dash as well. But the window is pretty small, and in my opinion it's a bit awkward to use reactively, so I prefer my own method instead. Dash jumping is one of the core movement techniques in the game, especially when it comes to higher level movement. One of my favorite use cases is dash jumping up a staircase or up a ramp, as this saves me a ton of time where I otherwise would have been exposed if I'm being, for example, chased. Normally, being pushed up and on a low ground will put you at a disadvantage, but a successful dash jump up the ramp is going to minimize that. In most cases, using a dash jump before your charged abilities, especially certain ultimates, will be ideal compared to just standing still, as this lets you close the gap and glide across the air during the activation animation. Using your movement abilities such as dashes or air jumps consume 1 stamina per use. Your current stamina is displayed through this bar in the UI. After use, it will slowly recharge. Different heroes have varying amounts of stamina bars by default. For example, Vindicta or McGinnis only have 2, while Ivy comes with 4. You can increase your total amount of stamina bars as well as how fast it recharges by purchasing certain items like extra stamina, which later upgrades to superior stamina. In addition to upgrading your stamina regen, superior stamina also upgrades the total amount of air jumps and air dashes surface that you can perform, which lets you do 2 per jump instead of 1. It's also worth mentioning that while a dash jump, which I've mentioned previously, does normally cost 1 stamina, using an item like kinetic dash will reduce that cost to 1 stamina bar instead. Certain actions like meleeing, heavy meleeing, or hitting the like button on this video does not consume any stamina. It is not explained properly in game, so not everyone knows this, but Deadlock also has sprinting. To enter a sprint, all you need to do is move around after not taking damage for a while. Performing any action doesn't actually cancel your sprint, but you might be slowed down for its duration. For example, activating certain abilities will slow you down as you're cast, and shooting your weapon or meleeing is going to take you out of sprint until you're finished. It is worth noting that certain items or abilities like Fleetfoot remove the movement speed penalty that you would otherwise get while shooting, in which case you are able to run around and shoot while still sprinting, assuming nobody's shooting you back. Not all heroes can sprint without items. Some heroes do come with sprint speed by default, which you can see in the hero screen in the main menu, like Bebop or Lash, but most of them don't. If they have more than 0 sprint speed in the hero menu, then they already have the ability to sprint off rip. That doesn't mean you don't want to upgrade it though, since the higher your sprint speed is, the faster you go when you're sprinting. In Deadlock, you can also slide. Sliding lets you slide down ledges or even across the ground if you go fast enough, that being 10 meters a second. You can also start a slide at any point during a dash. To slide, assuming these conditions are true, all you need to do is hold the crouch key. If you go fast enough, the sliding can let you keep your faster momentum for a little bit longer than you would have if you just hit the ground normally. Coming off of a higher speed, combining small hops with the occasional slide will ensure that you get the ideal length. Shooting your weapons during a slide means you will not consume any ammunition, as you can see here on the screen. You can use this to your favor to shoot at certain objectives while sliding across any nearby ledges, just by running up and down the ledges or even hitting the slide right before you're about to shoot by alternating your back and forward key alongside with holding your crouch on the descent. As I mentioned, you can pop a slide at any point during a dash by holding the crouch key. This has the additional benefit of cutting your dash short, which can let you dash close to a mob and then hit them with your melee without risking missing them because of the heavy melee timing slowing you down. In most cases, for example when doing a dash jump rotation, sliding along the ground will be faster than jumping, bunny jumping, or running. As far as I'm aware, this is the most optimal rollout you can pull off to get the most distance possible. And again, that's a dash jump, slide once you land, jump before that slide is over, and then sliding again. Working slides into your gameplay can make a huge difference, and there are a ton of advanced movement techniques that you can pull off thanks to them. If you guys are interested in more advanced movement in the shape of a more advanced movement guide down the line, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Moving on, as of a few patches ago, Deadlock also added wall jumping. To pull off a wall jump, all you need to do is stand near a wall, be midair, and then hit the jump key while adding a movement input that goes away from that wall. The wall jump has its own separate cooldown, for lack of a better word. You can do it once per jump, but it isn't affected by your air dashes or air jumps. Abilities or other things that reset your air jumps and air dashes usually also resets your ability to wall jump. Most importantly, wall jumping does not affect stamina. This means that you can use the wall jump to get a bit of air if you don't have any stamina left in a fight, or if you just want to climb somewhere without wasting it. There are a ton of great rollouts and climbs that you can pull off to reach places that either would cost a double jump or require you to use, say, 2 air jumps, meaning that you'd either need a lot of extra stamina or even the superior stamina item if you just want to pull it off in the first place. Even better, lots of these rollouts have no stamina cost as well, leaving you those stamina bars for when it actually matters. As you can see in the first rollout, you can also incorporate heavy punching to give you a quick impromptu horizontal movement without wasting a dash. This normally doesn't make enough of a difference, but it is usually enough to clear the distance after a wall jump and get you on top of a ledge. If you try wall jumping a surface that is too low, then you will always climb it. To avoid this interaction, just look away from the wall and pull off the wall jump with away inputs like usual. If done right, then you can wall jump from practically anything. In some cases, this might actually trigger a corner boost, but we'll cover that in that later video. It's also worth mentioning that wall jumping doesn't affect your air resistance. Unlike most games, in almost all cases in Deadlock, moving fast in air will be slowed down due to air resistance, which is the most noticeable if you're coming off of a boosted zipline, as you're gonna hit a crawl almost immediately. But since any airtime after a wall jump doesn't get affected by air resistance, this means that if you manage to chain a wall jump in a rollout where you are moving really fast, then you're gonna go as far as possible without being affected by the air slowing you down. Good examples could be dash jumping and then wall jumping, or this specific zipline rollout. So what's this about about ziplines. Taking a zipline, which you do by default by holding the space key when close enough and sort of looking in its general direction, will let you quickly rotate around the map along the different lanes. You can't take a zipline if you've taken damage by heroes in the last few seconds. You can add extra speed to your zipline by activating a zipline boost while you're on top of it. The buff lasts for a set amount of time, meaning you can jump off of the zipline and get back on it while still having the boost. The boost works on ziplines across all lanes, so you could even swap to a different zipline while keeping that boost. The ziplines will go along the respective lanes for as long as you have pushed them. If you defeat the 2 guardians at the end of the lanes, right at the enemy base, then the zipline in that specific lane becomes boosted, where you or anyone else on your team who takes it now moves a lot faster. The zipline boost can be combined with a boosted zipline if you really want to go flying. In most cases, it makes the most sense to take the boosted zipline if you want to rotate across the map really fast. As I mentioned previously, jumping off of a zipline will hit you with air resistance after a little while, but you can actually avoid being impacted by air resistance by hitting the control key as you drop off the zipline instead. This can be combined with certain abilities to fly around and catch your enemies off guard. Getting on a zipline will completely reset your air jumps, your air dashes, and even your wall jumps, which lets you chain movement right off the bat. Deadlock also features jump pads that will send you in a static path in the direction that they are pointing. At the time of this video, there are several jump pads on the map, like this one. Taking this jump pad will launch you into the middle lane, which can be perfect for a gank. While the jump pads do send you in a specific direction when launched, that doesn't mean you can't play around them. If you hold any movement inputs when taking the jump pad, then this will alter your travel path slightly. Using movements such as dashing or double crouching will cancel the jump pad's travel arc and cut your travel short. In the case of a dash, assuming you don't dash backwards, the movement from the dash will take priority. Using some abilities that normally suspend you in the air, like Yamato's first ability, will slow you down and suspend you in the air. Any movement abilities will break the arc you're traveling in and send you in the direction that you want instead. Another movement mechanic you can find across the map in Deadlock are these climbing ropes. Holding space when near one lets you start climbing, and you can travel either up or down by adding a forward or back input respectively. If you aren't moving around, then you can shoot from the rope. You can reload at any point if you're on the rope, whether you are moving or just hanging around. The ropes are pretty straightforward, but not many know that getting on a rope works the same as the zipline in the sense that it resets all of your air jumps, air dashes, and wall jumps. So this can be useful if you need to juke someone out with some sick movement plays.
Why are you up here? Why is this here?
But yeah, that should cover most of it. But if you guys want to know how to start a console and a custom map so you can play around and practice rollouts outside of the sandbox, I'm going to tell you guys in a second. But first, a huge thank you to the Patreon subscribers that are making this all possible. Massive shout outs to Gabe, Bucket, and SC0639. You guys are all goats. If you guys want to get access to all my Deadlock videos and more, ad-free, if you want to see behind the scenes content and have early access to my videos and my scripts and other content, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ottr. But anyways, how do you actually get into the cursed apple? If you guys want to hop into a custom game and practice movement outside of the sandbox yourself, it's actually really simple thanks to the last patch. In the main menu, just click custom games, then select a team, hit ready up, and choose a hero. But yeah, this should cover the basics. Again, I'm already working on the advanced guide, so I'm hoping to post that eventually. I hope this video helped you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.